I'll tell a quick short story. About a couple weekends ago, a Saturday night, I was here in this very room for a dinner. Chancellor Chris was here. We were sitting at tables that look just like this. And I was with a group of people that I was here as undergrads with. And as it turned out, one of them now is a state legislator. Another one at the table is now the chair of the Board of Regents. Another person who is there is a faculty professor, writer. He wrote a book that won the 2016 Pulitzer for Best Fiction. And we all met doing sort of the time-honored work of student protests while we were here at Cal. So we would gather in Eshelman Hall over there and plot how we were going to take over California Hall over there. But to me, what was amazing about that, I think, is that there is nothing more magical about Cal than the ability to take these sort of 17-year-olds, grind them through this undergraduate student experience, and then send them on this different trajectory where they end up becoming, government officials, they become entrepreneurs, and they become, Pulitzer Prize-winning authors. And so here, for the last bit, we'll hear a lot from the students who are current undergrads here, and they'll tell us about the state of the undergrad experience that many of us have lived through ourselves. So if we could, we'll start here with Emma, and I'll have them introduce themselves to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emma De Silva. I am a senior here at Cal, and I'm studying business administration. I'm originally from Orange County, California.
Hi, my name is Violet Snarker. I'm also a senior. I'm studying data science, and I'm from San Jose, California.
Hey, my name is Linda Kinya. I'm from Kenya. I'm a senior, and I'm studying economics and global studies.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I study poli-sci and computer science, and I'm a junior.
Hello, my name is Alexander Ladd. I'm a senior here at Berkeley. I'm studying data science and cognitive science, and I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, my name is Gregory Devine. I'm in my 9th and final semester here. I'm studying neurobiology and music, and I'm from Roseville, California.
Great. Thank you, everybody. And so maybe I could start with Linda there. If you could tell an incoming freshman to do one thing here at Cal, what would it be? It can be anything.
I would say, first of all, start with a 4-year plan, just to make sure you graduate. And second, really prioritize mental health and keeping yourself sane while you're here, just because a lot of people think that's like a secondary thing, but that should be the main thing you're actively thinking about every single day. That's what I would tell a freshman.
Very cool. I see a lot of you nodding your heads. Anybody else have advice for incoming freshmen?
Yeah, I guess my advice to any incoming freshman would be go out and meet people who aren't like you. I think this campus brings together all sorts of different people from all over the world, and there can be a tendency for people to sort of silo themselves in with people who are kind of like them. Join certain organizations that express your interest, and that's a good thing, right? But I'd also say try something you've never thought of doing before. Go hang out with some people that aren't anything like the people you knew back home, and I think some of the best connections and deepest friendships you'll make at Cal are going to come from those sort of off a limb type experiences.
Very cool.
I would say, in addition to that, another thing to keep in mind is familiarize yourself with the resources made available to you. There's kind of a learning curve here at Cal where there's so many great opportunities, it's hard to focus in what's important to you and what's really moving you. So things like the Undergraduate Research and Scholarships Office. Go ask about URAP or Haas Scholarship programs to get involved in research. Learn about the LEAD Center and what it's like to lead a student organization here on campus. Go visit the Career Center to see how their mentorship can help you develop professional skills. All of these things are kind of meant to be sought out by students, and it's really great as an upperclassman to help direct students in that direction because Cal does have some wonderful resources made available to its undergrads.
Just to second that point, basically, I have the same advice. Just apply to everything. And then that's how you find what you love to do and enjoy. And so, yeah, I would just second that.
Maybe, Violet, you look like a patient young woman. So when you come to campus every day, what frustrates you the most?
What frustrates me, I would definitely say issues of safety around campus, I think, is something that's always on students' minds. Like, for me, I feel like Berkeley does have a lot of resources, and I really enjoy, for example, studying in like a lot of the libraries on campus, but that's something that's always on my mind. Like, if I do want to stay in a library until 9 or 10 p.m., am I going to be with friends who can walk me home? Because I live on South Side, and there's not like always great lighting, and there's always sort of that feeling like, oh, if I leave my bike here, is it going to be stolen by the time I get out of class? So I think that's something that does frustrate me about the campus experience, is like always having to think about those things in the back of your head.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess like something I found frustrating, I think from the first, I mean, this isn't an everyday thing, right? But from the first, before I came here and was enrolling in classes, I mean, there's so many amazing classes and in general, like so many amazing opportunities. But I think our resources are stretched, and that can be reflected in like not being able to get certain classes that maybe you need for your major. And that can be like Dead Week when you get to campus and every seat in the library is taken, basically, at 7 a.m., So it can be frustrating that, you really have to sometimes push to get to get the spot you want, or to get into the class you want, and and I think it's a good attitude to push and try, and but it can be frustrating.
I think one thing for me that's a bit frustrating that Linda talked on is something that you can't see, which is mental health. Having more mental health resources on campus, I myself have gone through the process of using mental health resources, many of my friends and colleagues, and it's not a very easy process, nor is it something that has a lot of resources dedicated to it. So just kind of broadening the resources we have within the mental health spectrum, I think would be very beneficial for all students, especially students who don't think that they need it or they find that stigma around mental health. Breaking through that and offering more resources, I think would be very beneficial.
One other point I think is that like classes can be really challenging, but the point is that not everybody is coming in with the same level of experience in a certain topic, and not everybody is coming into Berkeley with the same level of education and experience. So I think finding ways to help those who haven't exactly had the opportunities to compete at a fair playing field is something that I find really important, and it can be a little frustrating to see those who haven't come in with the same amount of resources to be in like a very rigorous playing field, which is the classes at Berkeley. So that's something that I think is really important.
Very cool. So Greg, I'm going to go to you and give you the opposite side of that question. So when you come to campus every day, what do you look forward to the most?
I think the unexpectedness and diversity of what I'm going to experience in that day. I could be bouncing between a music class where we're studying the Rus Ballerina Company, learning about Stravinsky, and then I go into a science class and learn about a discovery that was made by Russian scientists in the same era. And in a lot of my education classes, getting to hear the various perspectives of my fellow students, it's really great because it encourages you to think bigger, to step outside of your discipline and collaborate with other people and integrate these wonderful connections, not only as friendships, but also as academics in every class, in every discipline.
Very cool.
I think on that, as Greg was talking about like connections and all that, I actually have a class from a professor who studies specifically development in Kenya. And being from Kenya, I thought that that's never something I'd get in California. But I actually go to class being like, I might learn something new about my country today, or I definitely will, which is a wonderful thing to think, I think.
Yeah, I think the people on campus, I mean, not just professors, but also the other students and like librarians and the staff and the faculty and just everyone who's here is what makes me look forward to going to campus every day. I don't feel that, the only place where I learn something is lecture. I feel like I learn things just by talking to people and walking around and getting lunch and getting coffee and going to club meetings and doing all this other stuff and getting to meet people who are really smart and really passionate about everything that they're involved in.
I think like every day that I'm here, I wish I had, twice the hours in the day that I actually do. And there's so many events that I want to go to that I can't because there's something even more exciting happening at the same time. I love that there's always something new happening on campus.
I think for me, what I look forward to is the community here. No matter where you're going, especially going through freshman year all the way up to senior year, you kind of travel about different parts of campus and kind of knowing that you guys are all on the same trajectory and moving towards something bigger post-grad or even during your time here. You really feel that kind of bond, and it kind of takes you through class every day.
Very cool. Now, Emma here is a student athlete as well. So I want to ask you, as a student athlete, what is the key to succeeding as an undergrad at Cal?
Sure. I think not only to student athletes, but to everyone at Cal, is time management. Today, every day that you plan for, I have every single hour planned to a T. If I miss something, then my whole day is kind of screwed up. So really being on top of managing my time and saying no to some awesome opportunities that we have too. I may have like a test I have, then I can't attend this great symposium or something. So being able to manage what I take on and what I let go, and also taking time for myself and to socialize as well.
Anybody else have a key to succeeding here at Cal?
I think conversations are wonderful. Like if you want, reach out to like advisors, reach out to upperclassmen, reach out to people, and then just tell them random thoughts you have. For example, I really wanted to study abroad and I didn't think that was possible. I reached out and someone was like, yeah, you can actually do that in the spring. We made a whole schedule about it, and eventually I was actually able to study abroad. Just reach out, be able to talk to people and plan, as Emma said.
I think there's like an element of resiliency too. Not everything in your life is going to go as planned. I mean that's obvious, right? But there are going to be setbacks along the way, and and there are going to be times your plan doesn't work out, and kind of being like, what's the next thing? Like you might. You might be dead set on majoring in something, but it's challenging, or there's a GPA cap, or like something like that, and and you kind of have to say like, well, if that's not going to work out, what am I going to do, or like what can I do that I find almost as exciting that I'm going to do as well. And I think like people have said, just like applying for everything, trying and keeping trying, I think that sort of resiliency, yeah.
On the point of resiliency, basically, classes at Berkeley are very, very, very difficult. And a lot of the students I've met most of the students I've met in my class, pretty much all of the students I've met in all my classes are very, very determined. And I think that a great key is to really learn from the work habits and work ethic of those around you, because Berkeley is full of some of the smartest and hardest working people that you'll find in the entire world. And being able to kind of draw from that and draw inspiration from that has actually, and I mean this seriously, changed my life and changed the person that I am. And it has made me really, really enjoy that kind of grind through classes. And to be honest, it's actually brought a lot to my life. And so something that I would, like some kind of advice that I would like to give is just, for other students is basically really, really embrace that difficulty because from the perspective of a senior, you come out a better person for it. So yeah, that is my advice.
I'd like to go back, Linda, just as a student who's here from another country, Kenya, was there something that you did that you felt like helped you succeed here?
I think trying to find community as soon as possible, just because I am from a different country, and that means that I'm so far out of what I originally know, and the country I'm from is not a Western country. We don't have like the things you find in California. So just trying to find people who you know will support you and who you are willing to support back was something I think is very important for like almost everyone who comes here, even if you're from like California, even if you're like from 10 minutes away, just finding community in Cal is very important.
So Sam, Chancellor Christ is here. If she were to say that you get to be chancellor, the next chancellor, what's the one thing you would do to improve undergraduate experience here?
Wow. Everybody gets it. Okay, one thing. I'm happy to say I think Chancellor Christ is on this issue already, so I don't need to become chancellor. But I would say one of the biggest issues is housing, obviously it's not a Berkeley problem only. The whole Bay Area has a massive housing crisis, but UC Berkeley is one of the schools that provides the least of its students with on-campus housing. And sometimes, it can be hard too to find housing off campus, especially, at an affordable level, especially, for some students, are you skipping a meal to be able to pay your rent? Do you have anything left in the bank account when your rent is due? And it's just like a huge stress to put on students as well. Your first year in college, you're a freshman. By February, you have to, find people to live with next year, start looking for apartments. You might apply for an apartment and then find out that 5 other groups have also applied, and you have to keep looking. So I think it's, and then also I think, living on campus, especially like your first year, your first couple years in college, is a great place to find community. And it's like a sense of, security and that I think like it is really helpful to provide to students. So I think, developing more on-campus and off-campus housing and just, being able to accommodate all the amazing people we have at this school.
How about you, Violet? If you could be chancellor, what's the one thing you would do?
I would say, obviously I'm a little biased because I'm an undergraduate student, but I would definitely say invest in undergrad student organizations. I feel like, I know there are a lot of demands on the university resources, but one of the things that has had the biggest influence on my undergraduate experience is all the clubs on campus. And I know Berkeley is such a big school that when students join, the place that they end up finding community and the place that they end up finding friends is most often through like these extracurricular clubs that really shape and define their experience at Cal. But when it comes to even basic things, for these organizations, like reserving rooms to hold events on campus or getting funding to travel and like go to competitions, it often feels like student organizations are, towards the bottom of a long list that's like classrooms first, then faculty, then graduate students, and then whatever's left goes to, the hundreds of student organizations that do amazing work on Berkeley's campus. I'm the president of the debate club here, and doing debate at Berkeley has definitely been the highlight of my college experience. And I know a lot of other people who feel that they've really found their home through student organizations. So I would just say, I think it's really important for the administration to recognize the work that even smaller student groups do and their achievements.
I share Violet's sentiment about the importance of student organizations. And I think one thing that we can do as a campus to improve is get a global assessment from the student's perspective. And I know it's hard to get survey participation with the promise of a chance to win an Amazon gift card, but students really do have the initiative to improve this campus and share their experience. So, for instance, asking students, where did you receive the most professional development? In the classes of people that I know, most of them are going to say professional fraternities or student organizations over the Career Center. And so that's where we should allocate our resources and our time and our energy, is into these student-led organizations that are not only creating communities on campus, but are the primary go-to resource for a lot of students seeking out professional development and various other attributes of an undergraduate experience.
I think something I would add that would be hopefully free would be, I would encourage like the teachers and professors, if I were the chancellor, to like make sure that mental health was like something intrinsic in their classes, because it often feels like you just get a flyer saying go to the tang if you feel down or if you feel like this, but in your actual class the people around you just want you to push on, like you're having such a hard time, but everyone's like, yeah, you can just make it, we believe in you, go forth. So making mental health something intrinsic that you actually maybe take time out of class or a discussion to have like 5 minutes, be like, how are you actually feeling, would be something I would really focus on.
And I think, like, just to add on a little bit, like that can be hard, especially when you're in like such a massive class. So I help teach like CS61A, our intro computer science class, and this semester it has 2,000 students. And we have, you know, an amazing group of, you know, hundreds of students who help run it. You know, Professor De Niro, of course, and it just runs like a well-oiled machine, right? But like providing those opportunities to, you know, to have support from other students and, you know, maybe graduate students and sort of mentors in a smaller setting, I think is something that would really help, you know, make classes more manageable for a lot of students.
Emma, would you like to be chancellor for
Those are some big shoes to fill, but I really agree with all of my colleagues here. I think that one thing that would really help the students is to really listen to the students, and things like this are extremely beneficial just for us to share all these thoughts that we've had on our minds, most of us being here for so long. And for me, it would definitely be mental health and having that more accessible to the students. So, yeah.
Very cool. And so most of you are seniors, I believe, and maybe I'll start with you, Xander. So now that you're sort of at the end of your time here, what do you think has made Berkeley or your time here special?
Not to be repetitive or circle back to this point of Berkeley being difficult, because I think I've elaborated that enough. But it really is kind of like what has made my time here so important to me is the fact that through like really coming to terms with understanding the material that you're learning and having to understand it on a level, on a very deep level. Like there's just, when you take an exam at Berkeley and when you like learn something, you have to understand the entire ins and outs of the whole entire concept. And because of that, it's really allowed me to fall in love with the kind of topics that I'm interested in, because it's not like when you're in high school, you wonder, when do I get to learn the cool stuff? And in Berkeley is when you get to learn the cool stuff. And it has really inspired my, my drive to look towards graduate school and towards continuing my studies in the fields that are introduced to you at Berkeley. So to sum up my answer, I would just basically say the way that coursework is given to students really allows them to really delve into a topic, and hopefully for most students, and I think most of my colleagues would agree with this, is really find something that you actually love to do.
Very cool. Maybe Emma, as a student athlete, is there something about Berkeley, your time here, that you feel is special?
Absolutely. I think being a student athlete on this campus is especially unique. We have so many sports. I didn't realize this until this year that we have one of the highest amount of sports in the Pac-12, 30 sports, and I heard that Washington State has like 12 or something. And if you think about that comparison, that's huge. So to have that large community, we've felt very small, and especially my first few years, but to know that there are many of us, there's 850 of us, we all latch onto each other. We all walk, and if you see that backpack or if you see those Under Armour shoes or that shirt, I definitely feel that sense of belonging. And that's helped me tremendously through the years. Knowing someone from each team has been a goal of mine, and I've been able to accomplish that and really see what can we make better for the student athletes. Obviously, we see the revenue sports really thriving and all of the shiny things that they get. But for me, as a track and field athlete, we're seen kind of as bottom of the totem pole. And I love that. I love being the underdog and kind of going into meetings. I'm part of GBAC, which is the Golden Bear Advisory Committee, and we kind of act as a leadership role for the student athletes. And coming as a track and field athlete, people don't expect you to want to fix or help with those things because we're kind of overlooked. So I guess just having that sense of community with everyone and knowing that even though I might be interacting with some revenue sports or something, they've got my back and I've got theirs, so.
Add one more thing. The research opportunities at Berkeley have been really unparalleled. We mentioned URAP earlier, and I'm currently doing research at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory through Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program, and I've also had another previous research experience at the Vision Science department at Berkeley, and in both of those cases, I was just amazed at, first of all, how accessible research is, and then second of all, how much it kind of complements what you learn. So I would say awareness of the research opportunities available has also been incredibly important to me.
This might be like a super obvious answer, but I mean, I think what makes Berkeley special is the people. So like, for instance, like, you know, I have a friend right now she's off in Germany speaking at a linguistics conference about the feminization of French nouns. I mean, like, where else would you go to college and, you know, be able to say that? I mean, so I think like, yeah, just like those kind of people that you meet here that are so passionate and you know, so interesting, and like it's just pretty unique, I have to say. And I think like, you know, like discovering passions too that like you realized you might have. Like I took a class in astronomy just because we have breadths, and you have to take like a physical science class. And I was like, this is like the most interesting thing I've learned in such a long time. So in you know, holding on to that, like, you know, taking that with you for the rest of your college experience and the rest of my life. I'm like, I can't wait to see the next solar eclipse. And, you know, yeah, just being changed in that way.
And Violet, I think are you part of the first graduating class of data science?
So the first graduating class, I think, was last year. But yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. And I can definitely see a theme emerging here with people talking about like research and the community at Cal. But what I was going to say makes Berkeley unique is all the innovation that happens here. And I know every university says like they put out great things and do great research, but I think the pace of innovation at Berkeley is just amazing. Like when I came to Berkeley, data science wasn't a major, and I took a lot of the data science courses in the first semester that they're being offered. Like this semester, I'm taking a machine learning course that's being offered for the first time ever, and I really feel like my professors are on the cutting edge of that field. And the fact that Berkeley you know, developed this data science major so rapidly and made it available to students, I think is just reflective of the pace of innovation that all the faculty and all the students here are really invested in. So I think it's just very cool to see all that innovation happening and to feel like you're a part of it.
Very cool. Then if we have a few minutes, and I think some of you guys might want to ask a few questions of a very articulate panel, right? Yes.
I'd like to know why you came to Berkeley. Why did you choose Berkeley? You're all really smart and you lots of opportunities, so why did you choose Berkeley?
I took a recruiting trip here, and I had taken some on the East Coast and another UC or two. And I was kind of, towards the end, I was just exhausted of going to visiting schools and looking at programs and everything. And there was just so much in my head. And the second I flew up here and my coach picked me up and I stepped on campus, I immediately knew. And it's so cliche, but I immediately knew. I felt like my diverse background and my diverse thinking and thoughts were going to be appreciated here. And they weren't going to be overlooked, which I felt a little bit overlooked at some of the other universities that I went to on the East Coast. And that really made me feel that I could thrive here and that there was a place for me here. And the teammates that I met and their friends and their colleagues and everyone that I met during my 2-day official was life-changing. And they're maybe older than me now, but I still keep in touch with them because they show me so much. They were so excited to meet me as a high schooler trying to decide to come to Berkeley, and they all persuaded me, which showed me that not every school that I went to persuaded me to go there. So that really meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I do really feel like it's something about the atmosphere and the people at Berkeley that really convinced me. I came here on sort of a fully sponsored weekend trip once I was accepted. It was hosted by a student organization called Bridges for minority groups. So I was here for a weekend, and at first I had all these concerns. I was like, I don't know if I want to go to Berkeley. It doesn't seem like the safest school. Classes are massive, you know. Am I just going to be lost in the crowd, maybe? But I came here, and I actually felt like having like so many people around you is just like an immense benefit to the institution because everyone was participating in things that were so meaningful and interesting. Like in my weekend here, I felt like I met a lot of people who were really smart and involved with so many cool programs, and I was actually just overwhelmed with the opportunity that Berkeley presented. So that's something that came off as so exciting, and that weekend here just sort of really finalized my college decision.
I think why I came to Berkeley is, since I come from Kenya and I came from a really rural school, I had never been to America. I did not come to visit. I was like, Berkeley, let's go. So the first time I actually came here was when I came for the classes. But I knew Berkeley had a wonderful history with free speech. And every other day you like meet a protest or someone protesting about something. And in Kenya, free speech is encouraged, but not really. So you might say something and the government is like, maybe stop saying that. So I was like, I want to come to a place that actually encourages the spirit of free speech and encourages people to speak out and be courageous in doing so. So that's why I came here blindly.
Sam, you came from DC to study political science.
Here,
so,
yeah.
Here instead of
yeah.
So why did you pick Berkeley?
Yeah, so I'm from DC. I was choosing between Berkeley and some schools on the East Coast, and I was at one particular school on the East Coast. I'm not gonna name it, but I was there with my mom, and she said, like, this isn't a school; it's a country club, and to be honest, I couldn't rebut it. It was like clean, manicured lawns, everyone everyone dressed the same way. I mean, not that that's always a bad thing, but I came to Berkeley and it's like 9 p.m. at night and there are people out drumming on Sproul Plaza. There are like dance groups, like practicing. I tried this thing called boba, which I hadn't encountered before, and it was just a lot more exciting. And there was a lot more going on, and and it also felt like being in the real world. I think Berkeley is connected to I mean, of course, everything's the real world, right? But Berkeley is connected to, you know, society outside of campus in a way that I think some other schools aren't. I mean, that's what made my decision.
I'm not really kidding when I say this, but I actually have a picture that I basically made my decision when I was like maybe 12 years old that I wanted to come to Berkeley. So I actually have a picture of myself at Berkeley when I was 12, like being like, this is it, this is the school. And I think, I guess it's kind of hard for me to answer this question just because there's sort of this, I guess I would say like an it factor about this school where it just is not, it's not one tailored experience for one student. It's an experience meant for a variety of interests, and really is a place that fuels your curiosity. I find that now I'm just as curious, even more curious about like questions that I had about the world that, especially with cognitive science, that I don't know if I would have gotten that at any other school. It's really amazing.
I remember when making my decision, I was looking at some smaller private schools, and Cal was definitely on the top of my list. And my mom told me, well, you could be a big fish in a small pond, or you could be a big fish in a big pond and have room to swim. And so I sided with the latter there, and I'm so glad I did. In addition to that, my older brother had just finished his undergrad here, and he was a rugby player, and he studied business and economics. And like you were saying, we have two totally different worlds. I'm into neuroscience and music, and he was into business and economics, and he was a student athlete. And yet we were both able to navigate this school and make it our own experience, and it was the best place to be for both of us. And I think Berkeley is special because it's one of the only universities in the world where you can cater an experience to your own interest and still, no matter what department you're in, be at the forefront of the world's knowledge. And that was amazing to me.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. You guys are incredibly articulate and insightful. Thank you.